Hello guys, hope I find you well. Welcome to Mbatrapong Talk Show. I'm your host, I'm Miss Mukle. These are my colleagues. That's Upenyu, that's Trish, Tanya, this is Miss K, Rumi, then Anna. So today we are focusing on suicide, our topic in quotes, which is suicide, a new trend. So to kickstart the discussion, anyone to tell the audience is what suicide is.
Okay, guys. Suicide a new trend, as in like trend prevention against suicide.
A new trend is trending right now. It's a pandemic.
Okay.
What most people are doing this now.
Wow. All right. Let me just go by the definition. Suicide is the final stage of depression, of the symptoms we have when we're depressed. And so basically, when someone is suicide, they're hopeless and they end up killing themselves and dying. And yeah, that's what suicide is, when you kill yourself. It's the final stage of depression. That's, I think.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Anyone to add? Anna?
I think what you said is, it defines exactly what I wanted to say as well.
Okay, so what do you think are the causes of suicide?
Well, I do think for many reasons, especially in men, maybe we could say that men, they're not being paid attention to rather, because there's been a lot of women empowerment, and we are not really looking at men as well. For example, how many men's clinics have you ever heard of? I only know of one, but then we've got a lot of women's clinics, right? And also we could look at the fact that it's also a problem when a man faces a challenge in his life, right? He cannot speak it out because he's scared of what the world is going to say. We could take, for example, the recent event of Will Smith, right? Publicly, his wife claimed that she had been having an affair with someone else, right? Whilst she's inside a marriage, right? And he cried out to the world, right? He did. But instead of people to take him seriously, they didn't. Instead of taking him seriously, they made him a meme. You get it? So if it's like that, when situations are being addressed like that, do you think the rest of the men, when they see that, do you think they're going to be able to speak out? They can't, because he is not the only man. We could look at a recent suicide case that happened in the States, right? Ellen DeGeneres' DJ, right? He had been having a lot going on, but he could not speak out. Outside the world, he was okay, but inside he wasn't. He could not speak what was going on, right? Because he was scared that if I speak out, maybe I'm going to be the next Kanye West meme. Maybe I'm going to be, I don't know. But we are men, personally, they're not being taken seriously. So that could be one of the reasons which is leading to suicide.
Okay, so from what you have said, you're saying men are at the highest risk of committing suicide.
Yes, that's
Do you all
true.
agree, guys?
Yes.
Trish, can you add on that?
I think men are more likely to commit suicide these days because of, some people call it the pandemic of Mjolo. Like men, I think they don't know how to deal with emotions and feelings. We talk of, I think our culture talks of indoda clinic or murumane fana could say kusimba. Sometimes he can't cry, but if he shows the world his vulnerable side, it then gets depressed, and then things could, maybe if I kill myself, then I'll have dealt with everything. But then it's time we accept Kuti. They also need attention, like Anna said. They also need to be heard, and they also need to cry sometimes, because they're also people. They also go through stuff.
Oh, so every guy in your DM, you give them attention. I was just saying, as a man.
Can I answer that?
No, I think it's much complicated than men not speaking than women not speaking. Because you can say women, we speak about our problems. We speak about our problems. But speaking about your problems is not enough. It does not completes the mental illness trajectory in totality. I think there's a lot. Like, I think the best is like, yes, men have far more responsibilities. Men face mental illness challenges a lot. But I think that alone is that speaking about our problems will not really solve, because it's more of a mental illness thing. It's all about having your brain, your mind having more chemical disorders. Yes, you can speak your mind having chemical disorders, your mind not something you sometimes you can have friends, you can have people you talk to, but still you don't know where the problem is. It's like being the ICU, but not with your body. It's like waking up, just living like in your IC. I think that's what I detect with the problem. It's like being in the ICU and not being free like that. So I think it's complex. I think, you know, when women, you're looking at it from the outside, so it really takes it from the inside. I don't know how to say it. It's like me having an opinion over how you should your reproductive health, what you should do with your body, what you should do with your, you know, you'd be like, you're not a woman. Your mind would be like, you're not a woman, so how can you just have an opinion about that? I think that's the same thing when women look at like mental health. Like, you can say that men don't give men need attention, but at the end of the day, men cry. Men need to be vulnerable. But at the end of the day, that man who's crying, that man is vulnerable. You're gonna live him and go for a man who's more stronger.
I would like to disagree with something he said. Like when he said Kuti, talking doesn't help much. I believe a problem shared is half solved. If I'm here hunting, guys, and then I tell you Kuti, my boyfriend did this and that, I get comfort, I get an ear, I get advice. It helps me in some way. Yes, people would leave a person who cries for someone who is stronger. But then a person who cries, it shows Kuti, they have that vulnerability, that those emotions, sometimes we can see them as a fault, but they're also someone's strength. If someone can show how vulnerable they are, then they are strong.
Yeah, that's true.
It all depends. There are people with crazy characters. They, after telling you I'm vulnerable, I can say it right there, but you not structure it. You not structure it the way, you know. I can tell you I'm vulnerable, then you gossip, then it goes down, it goes there. And I think that's where like women have kind of like, as far as like emotional intelligence, I think that's where women have like overestimated themselves, because they say they talk a lot, they talk about their problems, so therefore they are emotional intelligent. But I think it's more than talking about your problem. It's being to talk about your problem and being able to structure it and work on it that way. That's why the people encourage for counselors and therapists. These are people who are trained to address your problems and speak with it, not just like any ordinary person.
Okay, so the discussion is getting deep and deep and deep. Don't go anywhere, guys. Continue.